I began writing at the age of 10. My grandmother was my caretaker, and she committed suicide in my childhood home. It wasn't brutal, it was an overdose of sleeping pills, but nevertheless, I lost someone who was very dear to me. It was the 1960s, and therapy wasn't a big thing. At least if you went to therapy, you never told anyone. And so my mother was an English major, and she thought, what am I going to do for this daughter of mine? I'm suffering my own grief. So she went out and bought me a Kahal Gibran journal, the Prophet's Journal. And she said, just pour your heart out, talk about your grandma, talk about your feelings. And that's what I did day in and day out, sitting in my closet, the clothes hanging down, one of those walk-in closets. And on the top of each page there was a quote from him, and that kind of inspired my own words. So from that day on, I realized that writing was very healing, and it continues to be in my life. I went through a difficult adolescence, drug addiction in the 60s in New York, and wearing American flags around my shoulder, and a hippie and all that stuff, you know, I was awful, I don't know. I guess from all bad comes good, supposedly, I don't know. But, and then I had a difficult teenage daughter, and I wrote about that. And then I wrote, I had 2 cancers, and I wrote about that, and lost a lot of loved ones in my life. And so I've always turned to the journal and writing essays, poems, whatever compelled me at the time. So writing has always been very close to my heart in terms of healing and transformation. So that's my book. I'm just going to peek at my notes, make sure I'm saying everything I meant to say. So one of the things that I discovered when I was writing all these years is that it's not as much important to write about what you're seeing, but it's more important to write about what you're feeling about your experiences. You know, if you're just saying what you see, you can be like a journalist, well, the way journalism used to be anyway. You know, it's very important to share with your journal what you're feeling. You know, you're going through, you're here at Sacred Space. Oh, I visited Sacred Space. I had a nice walk around. I was offered a lovely cup of tea, sat and listened to a talk, bought a book. But what were you feeling? What was going on in your heart center at that time? And that's how you get in touch with your authentic voice, when you write about what you're feeling. And the books that you've read probably are the ones that get in touch, you know, the books that resonate with you are probably ones that get in touch with the heart center. With this book, my publisher calls me his 3-crown writer, because I have had a review from Publishers Weekly, Kirkus Review, and Forward Reviews, and Poets and Writers just named it one of the best books for writers. So I'm feeling really honored about that. And I just like sharing my love for writing, my passion for writing, and whether you want to write a memoir or journaling or poetry, you know, I hope that you're inspired to get going with that, touch into your authentic voice, touch into your heart center. Someone I had coffee with yesterday who just read my book said, it's kind of like Dalai Lama meets Natalie Goldberg. And I went, whoa! Makes me feel really good. So Natalie Goldberg, for those of you that don't know, she wrote, you know, Writing Down the Bones, and she's like one of the original Buddhist teachers, amazing woman. And so I guess my book is basically a how-to book, but it's sprinkled with little words of wisdom about writing and life. And which reminds me of an article I read by Ariana Huffington a little while ago, and she wrote about how we're inundated with data, but we don't have enough wisdom. We don't have enough wisdom around us. And so I try to, you know, not give too much statistics in my book, but I try to just give lessons from what I've learned during my own journey and to share it with you. So I hope you enjoy it, and I thank you for coming. And I'm going to open the floor for questions. Let me look at my sheet, make sure there's nothing else I want to talk about. Yeah. So my passion is storytelling, you know. Much better on the page than in person, but I've gotten better over the years. But I used to really be that shy little girl journeying all the time. But then I went to nursing school. That kind of made me was a nurse, and I was a nursing administrator. Then I went to psychology. Every time I had a health problem, I went back to school. It's like, I think I'm done now. I think I'm no more, thank you. But I think we all, have ways of healing. So that was my way of healing. So, any questions that anyone want to offer or share experiences?
What was the name of the writer, the women's warrior? What did you say? What's her name again?
Maxine Hong Kingston. And she lives in Berkeley. She's a retired professor at University of Berkeley.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Are you happy?
I'm blissful.
What does that mean?
Oh.
Sorry, background internal.
No. What does blissful mean? What does happy mean? It means that I feel like I'm on the right path. I feel like I've figured out what I've come here for. And that's one of the chapters, is tapping into your life theme. Like, if you're not happy, then do something else. I feel like I was brought here, or I am here for communication, for sharing the joy of writing, and for doing my own writing. So that makes me blissful. I know when I'm not writing, I'm definitely not blissful. My family knows, like, get into your office. Grouchy. So I think women are more, well, there's three guys here. I think we're more, I think we more easily, this is just off the top of my head, I don't have any data, but I think we're more open to self-discovery and tapping into our inner selves. I think guys are many just kind of live on the surface. I don't know if that's kind of sexist, but okay, in spite of everything I've been through and watched at the bedside of loved people that were passing away, and also my own cancer experiences, I've never been afraid of dying. So I don't talk about it except from the not about my own death. I talk about it from the sense of the loss of losing loved ones. But when I also talk about the fact that sometimes people are more alive when they die than when they're alive. It's just the weirdest thing. Maybe because you can't touch them, you can't call them. So from that standpoint, but I never talk about my own death because I'm not afraid of it. But there are people that like to address that. So I do talk about loss. I do talk about writing about loss.